Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Making news this morning, the search continues for Lena Keel, who disappeared 2 weeks ago.
And it's a return to work and school for millions of Americans today after the holidays, but many have been dealing with thousands of flight cancellations and more expected today.
And outside with live cam, it is clear and it is cold this morning. Ooh, gonna have to bundle up.
Hi, good morning. It is January 3rd. I am back. I had to look at, is it 2022?
It is. Yeah, and I said this the other day, like a lot of people, you don't have to worry about your checks anymore, having to remember to write 20. My wife goes, we still write some checks. I went, ooh, well, good luck with that. Then remember
yes, you have to, that will throw you for a loop.
Apparently, you know, I don't have any money, so I don't worry about writing checks.
Oh.
It's all on her.
Touche on that one. Yeah, it is cold. We're actually colder this morning than what we were yesterday, temperature-wise. I mean, we're right now at the same as our low yesterday, and then we're going to continue to drop down. And we don't have the blustery winds, but when you got temperatures this cold, any little breeze just, you know, really adds that bite to these readings. It is very clear out there. Great flying weather. I mean, with air like this, planes just jump off the ground, basically. It's so dense and cold and thick. And 27 degrees right now, 24 Randolph, 18 already at Comfort. Like I said, this was our low temperature yesterday. We will continue to drop down. We've got clear skies, very dry air, and light wind. And, you know, yesterday, remember, winds were gusting about 30, 35 miles per hour. We had those wind chills that were really cold. We still have very cold wind chill temperatures because with these readings, it doesn't take much, like I said, to knock it down there. So it feels like 20 at the airport, 16 Randolph, and 18 right now is the wind chill up the road in Comfort. We do still have the freeze warning in effect up until 10 o'clock this morning for most all of the area. And as a matter of fact, all of the area, all of South Texas is below freezing as of right now. Mountain Cedar did go up in yesterday's count, and it's going to be interesting to see, since we had the windy conditions throughout the day yesterday, what that number is going to be doing later on when the updated count comes out. Make sure you warm up the bus and warm up the car this morning. Nope, not 73 this morning. I beg your pardon on that one. After school, we are going to be up to 55 degrees with mostly sunny skies. Got another freeze in store tomorrow. Won't be as cold, and then another one later on in the week. Plus, we'll take a look ahead to the weekend coming up in just a couple of minutes. Steph, Dave.
Thank you, Mike. This morning, the Amber Alert for 3-year-old Lena Keel continues. Today marks 2 weeks since she was last seen, but the community is not giving up. Nearly 200 people combed through a large grassy area yesterday as they searched for Lena, including more than 100 people from the local Afghan community. And the search efforts were both on the ground and in the sky with the help of Eagle Flight Advocacy and Outreach.
I hope she's found, that we don't need any more searches. I hope she comes home. We just go day by day just hoping that she's going to be found. I was hoping that we wouldn't have to do this search because they would have already found her.
Lena was last seen at an apartment complex off of Fredericksburg Road. There's a reward of up to $150,000 in this case. If you have any information, you're asked to call the San Antonio Police Department's Missing Persons Unit. That number, 210-207-7660.
And now to the weather, as Mike just talked about. It's not too bad here, but it's a travel nightmare for millions of Americans across the country. Up to 10 inches of snow could fall in parts of the mid-Atlantic region from Virginia to southern New Jersey this morning.
It's also hitting airlines as people are stranded at airports this morning. At least 15 departures and 5 arrivals have been canceled at the San Antonio International Airport. ABC's Monica Sarabdi has the latest.
The storms creating a winter wonderland overnight in the deep south are intensifying before delivering the first major snowfall of the season for millions of people in the Northeast. The round of storms now moving up the coast, bringing a mixed bag of winter weather and tornado threats.
Roanoke to D.C., Baltimore and Philly, 2 to 6 inches of snow. It'll start out wet. The ground is warm, but it'll pile up.
In Washington, D.C., federal offices are closed today. Some schools in Virginia, Maryland, Delaware and New Jersey have already declared a snow day on the first day back from the holiday break. Travelers and airlines crippled by COVID-related staffing issues, now also dealing with the severe weather. Nearly 1,000 flights for today have already been canceled.
We had a huge snowstorm and oh my goodness, they canceled the flight because they were scared that we wouldn't be able to take off.
And now temperatures are plunging across the country. The cold spot this morning, -7 in Des Moines, Iowa. In New Mexico, the extreme cold is blamed for stranding 21 passengers on this tram. High above the mountains overlooking Albuquerque, an iced-over cable caused the cars to get stuck. The people inside waited 14 hours in the freezing cold to be rescued.
We got real close and a lot of hugging and just making sure everyone was okay.
Monaco Sarabdi, ABC News, New York.
President Biden told the president of Ukraine yesterday that the U.S. and its allies will respond decisively if Russian troops cross the border. During a call, Biden stated that he supported the political and territorial independence of Ukraine. The conversation came just days after President Biden told his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin that there will be a, quote, heavy price to pay for any invasion. Putin responded by calling additional sanctions against Russia for a military action, quote, a colossal mistake, end quote. A spokesperson for the Ukrainian president said his, quote, his country was grateful for the Biden administration's effort to prevent further escalation of the military crisis.
United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin has tested positive for COVID. That's according to a statement released by the Defense Department. That statement goes on to say that Secretary Lloyd is experiencing, quote, mild symptoms. Secretary Austin said he last met with the president on December 21st and was in the Pentagon December 30th. Secretary Austin says he has informed the president and his staff about his test results and contact tracing is underway.
And this morning, search teams are still looking for 2 missing people in the smoldering debris from a massive Colorado wildfire. Investigators are still trying to determine what caused flames to tear through at least 6,000 acres, leaving nearly 1,000 homes and other buildings destroyed in suburbs between Denver and Boulder. The inferno broke out Thursday. Experts say dry, wintry conditions along with high winds helped the fire spread. The Boulder County Sheriff has refused to give many details, including whether he thinks the fire is arson.
And time now, it's 4:36 and a chilly 28 degrees out there.
And coming up next, not a good weekend for the Dallas Cowboys or Houston Texans. Morning Sports is on the way.
And a quick look at the roads with TransGuide. There's a look there. I'm trying to look, is that Loop 410? No, that's 281. Looking at 281, looks pretty empty right now, but be careful if you're headed out on those roadways.
And outside with live cam, once again, you're going to have to put your jacket on if you're sending the kids out to school early this morning because it's cold. It's not chilly, it's cold. It's just flat out cold. Mr. Winter showed up, made his presence felt over the weekend. Mike's got your forecast coming up. May stick around a while, too.
Pro football coverage powered by Davis Law Firm.
Hey, Dallas hosting Arizona yesterday. Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray now 9-0 at AT&T Stadium, including going back to the 3 high school championships he won when he was at Allen High School. Arizona up 3-0 in the second. 4th and goal for the Cards. Murray, bootleg, Steel Knight alum Antoine Wesley, and Texas Tech alum, in the back of the end zone for the 10-point lead. Cowboys finally find the end zone just before half. Dak Prescott to Michael Gallup makes a great adjustment, comes up with a 21-yard score. Hurts his left knee. Jerry Jones said after the game, looks like he's out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL. It was 13-7 at the break. Later in the game, after a 2-point conversion, the Cowboys are only down a field goal, 25-22, but now they lead. Stop the defense. Arizona first down, and Arizona scored 6 of their 10 possessions, and that includes their last possession, where they're able to just run out the clock. Your final, Cardinals win it 25-22. Dallas is now 11-5, no longer the number 2 seed in the NFC. After the game,
playing against the refs again, like usual. Seems like it's every week occurrence. So we just got to, tune that out and just deal with it.
Can't move the ball. Every big play was called back because of some kind of call. The refs, I feel like, dictated that game.
We're still a good team, even though we was facing 2 teams tonight. The results ain't come out like we wanted it to.
We'll play against the 11 and the others if we have to. I've come accustomed to it, honestly.
I mean, I'm going to let the NFL handle it. I know, it's a possibility we see both of these teams in the playoffs. So, I'm just, hopefully the NFL can sit down with their team, review the film, learn from their mistakes, and get better from it.
Obviously not happy with the referees yesterday, but the referees didn't drop any passes. Meanwhile, Houston Texans were on the road looking for their first 3-game win streak since 2018. Taking on San Francisco, no score second quarter. Texas on the Niners' 8-yard line. Davis Mills over the middle. Brandon Cooks touchdown. Texas lead 7-3 at half. Here come the Niners. Quarterback Trey Lance finds Elijah Mitchell wide open, and that's a lead Fourth quarter, Lance rolling out again, and this time going deep to Deebo Samuel for the 45-yard catch, run, break a tackle, and score. Niners outscored the Texans 20-0 in the second half, and their playoff hopes are still alive. There's your final right there, 23-7. Houston is 4-12 now on the season. Talk about having a rough go of it. The Spurs have now lost 3 in a row. They're on a 7-game road trip. They lost to the Pistons Saturday night. Tomorrow they are in Toronto to take on the Raptors. That game tips off at 6. And they swing by Boston on Wednesday, take on the Celtics. And they play the 76ers on Friday. And then it's the Brooklyn Nets on Sunday. That's just a brutal road trip. And they lost Doug McDermott, and I believe it was Lonnie Walker IV. They're now in the COVID protocol. They're looking to hopefully looking to see DeJounte Murray come back at the beginning of this week at some point. He's kind of out of the protocol, but he's got to go through a series of tests to see if he's in good shape to get out there. So,
well, we hope so. I mean, it was only 1 point Saturday.
1 point. But you know what? Still a loss.
Dang it. It's okay. Time now, 4:43 and 28 degrees for now.
There are no moral victories in the NBA.
Dang it.
Coming up next, a first look at a dramatic New Year's rescue where 21 people were stranded for hours on 2 trams in freezing conditions.
Welcome back. It's 4:46. Search and rescue teams in New Mexico rescued 21 people who were stranded in 2 trams high in the mountains on New Year's Eve. ABC's Matt Gutman has the details in today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, a dramatic New Year's rescue. 21 people stranded for hours on 2 trams in freezing conditions. On New Year's Eve, with the weather turning, those workers were hustled into the tram cars for what is normally a 15-minute ride down the mountain.
8:45, we're out the door. We start going down, and then suddenly we stop.
High wind and ice on the cables, forcing operators to stop the tram.
Happy New Year's, guys!
But by 4 a.m., they got more bad news. Rescuers couldn't respond until at least daybreak.
It's freezing. The condensation on the roof from all those breathing was turning into icicles. We were in a whiteout for most of the night just because the storm was surrounding the tram.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we learn more about this harrowing rescue. With your GMA First Look, I'm Matt Gutman, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And a quick look outside with TransGuide. Looking there at Loop 410 and Perrin Vital, there are people out there, but not many at this hour. Another look there at Highway 281. Things seem to be moving as of right now.
Whenever there's ice on the water trough for the horses, I know it's cold.
Yes.
The water trough was frozen yesterday morning. Had to break it up so they have something to drink. And it's like,
Do you have to break it up, or do they just,
No, I gotta break it up. They kind of look at it and go, what
You're like, what are you going to do about it, David?
Hey, what are you over here? Where's that dude? Come out here, fix this.
Well, make sure if you have their horses or anything, hopefully the pets came in. I know you can't bring your horses in to sit on the couch.
Well, my wife would like to. Can we put them in the garage?
They would take up a lot of room on the couch. Anyway, if the pets are still out, bring them in because it's cold. It's going to be getting colder in the next couple of hours. And in Helotes, this is from yesterday. 27 degrees. And this morning, we've got a lot of readings. Everybody is below freezing and then some. And really, 20s are the rule as opposed to the exception. Clear skies out there right now, and freeze warnings in effect up until 10 o'clock this morning. We have readings 18 Comfort, 29 Los Maples, 21 right now in Bandera, and right at freezing Stinson, as well as in Devine. And yes, there is a bit of a wind chill to deal with because now we don't have the wind quite as strong as what it was yesterday. And of course, wind chills even yesterday were down in single digits out in portions of the hill country. But with these colder temperatures, it doesn't take much, obviously. So definitely bundle up this morning. It will warm up. It's going to be a nice sunny day, 1 or 2 maybe high clouds out there today, but it's going to still stay on the cool side. We will get up. We hit 50 yesterday. We will make it to the mid 50s today, but still about 10 degrees below normal. Still a lot of dry air upstairs in the atmosphere. So now we had that kind of brownish shade upstairs yesterday, and that's why you had those intense blue skies. Still a good looking day today. Like I said, maybe some high wispy clouds out there, and that'll pretty much be about it. Now we are going to see a little bit of an increase in the humidity. Excuse me. over the next couple of days. We'll still be below freezing tomorrow morning, and then we stay in the 40s midweek. Then another front moves on through here, and we're looking at another freeze by Friday morning. Tomorrow morning's freeze, it'll just touch freezing, I think, here in town, not down in the 20s, at least here in town. That's going to be the same thing on Friday. It'll be a real close call as far as that goes. But then weekend, notice how the humidity comes back in here. We are going to have more clouds around here as we go in toward the weekend. Satellite picture, nothing is going on. And if you kind of exclude the eastern portion of the country, nothing is really going on upstream. But it's off here to the east where they are expecting close to a foot of snow up, especially up around New England. If you got any travel plans, air travel, because, going through New York and D.C., some of this nasty weather there around portions of North Carolina, Charlotte, big hub there, just definitely kind of keep that in mind. And as far as temperatures, once again, most of the country is below freezing this morning. And it's really cold here. So we're going to warm up. Big warm up. We're going to gain 20 degrees between now and noon, 46. That's all it gets us. So still going to want to coat all day long. We'll have mostly sunny skies today, 55 for a high temperature. We hit freezing again tomorrow and then get up to 64. Now, very mild on Wednesday. Another front's going to move on through here. It'll keep us at 65 on Thursday. And yes, Thursday, that is not tree pickup day or anything like that. That is the Epiphany, the 12th day of Christmas, of course. We will get down to freezing Friday morning. And then the weekend is going to be pretty mild. Lots of clouds, 70 for high temperatures over the weekend.
Looks nice.
Yeah, so it'll be pleasant if you're going to put off taking down Christmas decorations until the weekend.
I thought that's what that tree was. You should have your Christmas decorations done by Thursday.
Kind of like on the calendar when the weather didn't match up with the calendar. In reality, getting decorations down, so
we'll hold off on it.
I'll try and do it on Thursday.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out, babe.
We can wait. It's all right.
No, I'm done.
You're done?
You are?
Just don't wait till Valentine's Day.
That have done Saturday, which was great because Sunday, man, they would have been all over the neighborhood.
That's true.
What are you doing?
Well, I charge a lot. 452, and what is that?
We're at 27 right now.
Officially 27. And still ahead on GMSA, Betty White is remembered in a special encore presentation of a popular show.
Check out some lottery numbers. See if anybody's a millionaire today. Pick 3, 3, 1, 4, and your Fireball is 4. And your Daily 4 is 6, 8, 5, 9. Your Fireball is 2.
Cash 5, 8, 11, 15, 18, 29, and Lotto Texas 1, 16, 19, 39, 42, 46. And your Powerball numbers 6, 12, 39, 48, 50, Powerball 7, Power Play 2. Good luck.
Spider-Man keeps making movie history at the box office, plus Betty White is honored with a special rerun of a popular show.
For the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Christopher Watson.
Hello, Peter.
Lots of people visited their local theater over the New Year's holiday to see Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Don't.
It dominated for the third weekend in a row, earning another $52.7 million to push its 3-week domestic take to $609 million. That makes it the 10th highest grossing domestic release in history, just edging out 2018's Incredibles 2. Add overseas earnings and Spider-Man: No Way Home's global tally now stands at $1.37 billion.
We'd like to say once again, we love you.
Saturday Night Live honored the late Betty White over the weekend with an encore airing of her 2010 turn as the show's oldest ever guest host.
This will be the end of it.
The trailer for the 6th and final season of Peaky Blinders just dropped. The period crime drama returned to Netflix early this year. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Christopher Watson, ABC News.
456 and 20. It says 28. Mike says officially it's 27. So it's a little colder.
It's cold. So still ahead on GMSA, why top federal health officials are looking to add a negative test along with its 5-day isolation restrictions for asymptomatic Americans who catch the coronavirus.
And we're going to tell you about a new kind of TV remote that uses radio waves to stay charged. That's coming up in Tech Bites.
And a quick check of the roads with TransGuide. There's a look there at Loop 410 at Perrin Vital. Stephen Cavazos just walked in the studio. We'll be checking in with him shortly.
Live from KSAT 12, Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
I'm ABC's M. Wynn in Washington. Kids go back to school amid a post-holiday surge in COVID-19 cases. How fears over the Omicron variant and teacher sick calls are affecting reopening plans. Coming up.
And taking a look outside with live cam this morning. If you were hoping for that cold weather, if you were thinking about it on Friday, well, it's here. It's here to greet you this morning.
And good morning. It is Monday. It's January 3rd. It's cold.
It's very cold. Yes. I mean, if you thought New Year's Eve, it should be much colder. Well, now you have that cold weather to enjoy.
So if you went digging for your coat in the closet, way to go. Good job.
Yeah.
Found it.
You're going to need
find
it.
You're going to need it, Mike.
Yeah, hopefully you struck gold by finding your coat because, this morning, especially for kids waiting at the bus, make sure you warm up the car. And, boy, a big hot bowl of oatmeal is going to sound really good this morning. Need a little fuel in the furnace, as my mom used to always say. 27 degrees right now and still very dry air. We do have a little bit of a breeze, nothing like what we had yesterday. But when you have temperatures this cold, it doesn't take much. We're going to make it up to 55 later on. We hit 50 yesterday. We're still going to be about almost 10 degrees below normal. The aquifer yesterday did drop down another 0.2 of a foot, and the allergens, mountain cedar did go up. Now it was 8,000 and change the previous day, so we didn't really go up by leaps and bounds, but it's going to be interesting to see what then today's reading is after all the windy conditions we had around here yesterday. So temperatures, it is cold no matter where you go. Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah, bundle up. 18 Comforts. You win the prize right now. 25 Randolph, and we'll continue to drop down a couple of more notches. We've got clear skies. We've got very, very dry air, and that little bit of a breeze does keep the air stirred up. But for the most part, the heaviest, coldest air, the real thick stuff is going to continue to settle down here to the surface in the next couple of hours. A little bit of a wind chill to deal with that puff of a breeze out there. It feels like 20 here in town. Of course, freeze warning remains in effect up until 10 o'clock this morning. So mostly sunny skies today. It is going to be chilly. You may have a couple of high clouds out there today, and then plenty of sunshine. It's going to start to warm up a little bit. We'll still hit freezing tomorrow. Not quite as cold, though, and then fairly mild, fairly warm actually on Wednesday. We do have another front coming on through here then, and it's not going to be quite as potent. We'll still hit freezing Friday morning, just barely. It won't be, again, as cold as what it is. Then a complete flip-flop by the weekend. Now it's not going to be what we just had to ring in the new year with temperatures approaching 80, but it is going to be much warmer, and we're going to have plenty of clouds around this weekend. Unfortunately, there's no mention of any rain in this forecast. We'll see if there's anything way down the road. That's coming up. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos. Good morning, sir. Happy New Year to you. Roads are going to be busy.
Yeah, I can expect that, Mike. Happy New Year to you as well. Let's take a quick look at TransGuide. I don't mind a cool morning, and we can expect a pretty cool morning on the roads, at least right now. It's still very early I-10 at Proban. Just a few folks out there right now. Interesting shot there, though, at 35 at Evans. You can see just one or two vehicles out there from some of these shots at TransGuide, but we know that today will likely be a busier day because a lot of folks are going to be heading back to work. So let's take a look at the map right now because thankfully it is still a quiet start. As you can see on the screen, lots of green. Right now, if you are going to be traveling into the San Antonio area, though, check out these inbound times from I-10, particularly from Bernie. We have a 24-minute drive time, and if you're coming in from New Bulverde on 281 southbound, we got 25 minutes and 25 on 35 coming in southbound from New Braunfels to downtown San Antonio. So not too bad. We're starting the morning off pretty nice. No stalls, no crashes, but make sure you check those tire pressures because I had to check mine before I head out the door this morning. I want to make sure you get to work safely and, of course, on time. We're going to have more coming up, including more construction spots in the next few minutes. David?
Thank you, Steve. Today marks 2 weeks since 3-year-old Lena Keel was last seen, but the community is not giving up finding her.
Sarah Acosta joins us live in the studio with the very latest on the search for Lena. Good morning.
Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, David. The Amber Alert for 3-year-old Lena Keel is extending for the 14th time. Nearly 200 people combed through a large grassy area Sunday as they searched for Lena, including more than 100 people from the local Afghan community. And the search efforts were both on the ground and in the sky with the help of the Eagles Flight Advocacy and Outreach. Lena was last seen at her apartment complex off Fredericksburg Road on December 20th. Police and FBI agents are partnering in this investigation, and so far they've searched green belts on the city's northwest side with K-9 units, interviewed witnesses, sifted through surveillance footage, and more, though the leads are still slim. San Antonio Police Chief William McManus did allude last week that there could be possible suspects connected to her disappearance, but details are limited. However, at this time, this case is still a missing persons case, not an abduction. There is a reward for up to $150,000 to any information that leads to her discovery, and you may remain anonymous. If you have information, call the SAPD Missing Persons Unit at 210-207-7660. You can find that number on KSAT.com. David.
Thank you, Sarah. COVID-19 cases continue to soar higher in the new year as parents and faculty for children in K through 12 schools brace for classes to start again today.
And the CDC is considering changing current guidance for what to do if you test positive for COVID. ABC's Em Nguyen has the latest from Washington.
This morning, school is back in session for most of the country, but the idea of millions of children gathering amid a post-holiday surge of COVID-19 cases isn't sitting well for some parents.
I will likely keep our son home into the 5th just to have those extra days.
Already, some big school districts will start the new year with at least a few days of remote learning due to the Omicron variant, including Atlanta, Milwaukee, and Newark.
Superintendents today are getting phone calls learning that some of their schools may have 5 to 10% of their staff not available due to COVID-19.
Top health experts are reassuring parents that in-person learning is the best track for students right now.
I think it's safe for them to do so. There's a lot schools can do to keep infection numbers lower, improve ventilation, have kids and adults masking, vaccinate everybody who's eligible.
This comes as the U.S. is seeing an average of nearly 400,000 new daily COVID cases nationwide, with hospitalizations approaching 100,000. Testing is still in high demand as well. One of the largest testing companies in the country, Quest Diagnostics, tells ABC News their turnaround for results has stretched up to 3 days from the average 1 day. And now, Dr. Anthony Fauci saying the CDC may revise current guidance again for asymptomatic COVID patients after getting pushback. The agency could recommend that a person get a negative COVID test before ending isolation. The CDC had shortened the isolation period for those testing positive from 10 days to 5 and was not requiring a negative test.
There has been some concern about why we don't ask people at that 5-day period to get tested. That is something that is now under consideration.
Here in Washington, a high-profile case of COVID-19. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced he tested positive Sunday with mild symptoms. He says his last meeting with President Biden was almost 2 weeks ago. Em Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
Back here at home, starting today, Metro Health will be back to reporting COVID-19 cases here in Bexar County. Recent data has been provided by the Department of State Health Services. The latest information shows that Bexar County had 733 new cases, 352 people were hospitalized, 74 in the ICU, 30 are on ventilators.
Twitter is permanently suspending Georgia Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal account. The company confirmed the suspension, saying the account had repeatedly violated its COVID-19 misinformation policy. Twitter has restricted Greene's account in the past for sharing misinformation about the 2020 presidential election. In response to the new ban, Greene said, part and quote, "Social media platforms can't stop the truth from being spread far and wide," end quote. Greene still has access to and can tweet from her official congressional Twitter account.
Tesla says it delivered a record 936,000 vehicles in 2021. That's up 87% from its 2020 delivery count. Austin-based carmaker says it delivered more than 308,000 vehicles in the final quarter of last year, which is also a record for the company. Analysts say the numbers are jaw-dropping given an ongoing global chip shortage affecting the automobile industry. Some industry experts say the production increase was likely boosted by growing demand in China, as well as broader enthusiasm for electric vehicles. Drove by their manufacturing plant. Mm-hmm. It's just off the toll road that you go around. I don't know that I've ever seen a building that big.
Yes.
It is just unbelievable. The thing is huge.
Massive building.
And the second floor is like glass. It's like, what kind of money you got all glass all the way around this thing? It's like, he's got his own street, Tesla Drive.
It looks good, though.
Yeah. Man, that was a big building. Like, wow, this thing is huge. Like you start here and keep driving and just keep going.
That's why it's way out there.
It is.
It's probably going to grow, the campus.
Good.
Yeah.
A lot of houses going up out there, too.
Yes.
509, 28 degrees.
And still ahead, why AT&T and Verizon are rejecting requests to delay their 5G launches.
And also coming up next, how a woman battling cancer, who's also a big Dallas Cowboys fan, got the surprise of her life so far.
And taking a look outside with live cam this morning. So Mike says it's 27 degrees, not 28 degrees. Either way, it's cold outside. Grab a jacket and bundle up. We'll be right back.
It was an emotional Sunday for the Cowboys, not just because they lost.
Cancer patient Brandy Weaver is a big-time fan who thought she was just at a Cowboys watch party last night at Dave & Buster's.
What's up, Brandy? It's Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and got wind that
Brandy's good friend surprised her with a personalized video from quarterback Dak Prescott. Brandy's cancer is stage 4 and has spread throughout her body. She said the message from Prescott made her new year.
I believe his mom has breast cancer, and I do too, so I connect on that level with him, and I think he's just a good...
Throughout her years battling breast cancer, Brandy has set goals for herself. Her last goal was to make it to 40. She did that. Her new goal, to take her kids Whitney and William to Disney World, coming up in March.
She was also presented $1,500 that will cover her deductible for the year. It was presented by Aaron Erkeline, Executive Director of ThriveWell, a local nonprofit that supports cancer fighters like Brandy. Nice
Sometimes
surprise.
you can't worry about what's going on the field.
Yeah.
You take care of this kind of stuff, and for Dak to do that, that's pretty awesome.
That was very awesome. It made her year, she said.
Yeah, that's great. And hopefully she'll enjoy her trip to Disney World.
In March.
In March?
Very soon.
Wow.
Time now, 5:14 and about 28 degrees out there.
Coming up next, we're going to tell you about Samsung's new TV remote that uses radio waves to take charged. So is it different kinds of music?
We shall see.
So we have some 70s music. What do you get?
I like that my plan is built just for me.
Arugula, we get an extra
With the new WW Personal Points program, you take an assessment, enter your goals, the foods you love, and what fits into your lifestyle. You don't have to eat diet food. I can enjoy the things that I really love, like wine, cheese. You can add points for eating vegetables or being active. I lost 26 pounds and I feel incredible.
The all-new WW Personal Points program. Start the new year with 3 months free. Join today at WW.com. Hurry, offer ends January 3rd.
With Mucinex Night Shift, you've got powerful relief from your worst nighttime cold and flu symptoms. So grab Night Shift to fight your symptoms, get your C's, and get back to your rhythm. The relief you need, the cash you want.
Even after you sanitize, every touch can leave new bacteria behind. Microban 24 keeps killing 99.9% of bacteria touch after touch for up to 24 hours. Use the sanitizer 4 out of 5 doctors would use in their own homes. Microban 24.
In today's Tech Bites, major telecom companies and the U.S. government battling over Wednesday's rollout of 5G wireless service. Verizon and AT&T are rejecting the government's request to delay the rollout of the new wireless service due to concerns about planes' electronic systems. But the companies say they will limit 5G service around certain airports on a temporary basis. Microsoft is offering a fix for a year-end bug on Exchange. The bug prevented some users from sending emails on New Year's Day. The company says the issue stems from a date check failure with the change of the new year. And Samsung has added a twist to its Eco Remote. The solar-powered device can now stay charged by using radio waves from your router. The goal is to eliminate batteries as a power source. But how are you supposed to get batteries for the toys if you don't get it out of the back of the remote? Those are your Tech Bites. Have a great day.
That's a great point.
It's true.
Of course, then, Dad's upset because their remote's not working.
Oh, yes.
Anyway.
Everybody will be upset.
All right, let's take out traffic to see if anybody's upset on the roads yet.
No, not just yet. You know what? Batteries are one thing I do not keep in my house. I just don't. And then you realize, gosh, I really should start getting those. So, yeah, maybe a trip to the grocery store. Huh?
It comes in handy.
It does help. Batteries are good, but they come in handy. So maybe a trip to the grocery store a little later this morning. But if you have to head out right now, we got some smooth sailings right at this hour. You can take a look. I-10 or 410, that is, at Bandera. Pretty quiet corridor there. 410 at Jackson. Max and Keller, roads are looking pretty good as we're starting this new day, so we're not going to encounter any big problems. We do know that more people will be getting out on the roadways because a lot of folks heading back to work, but right now the roads are quiet, so some good news there. But let's take a look at the map because we want to bring your attention up here all the way to I-10 in Kendall County. Now, there will be some road work going on that's starting today. This is part of the I-10 Kendall extension project. The eastbound frontage road in Kendall County will be closed from Menger Springs to US 87. That way crews can proceed to the next phase of this project, which is estimated to be completed by spring 2022. It's only a few months away around now to think about it, 2022. A quick detour there, though. Eastbound frontage road will be detoured onto the eastbound entrance ramp onto I-10. Traffic will then return onto the eastbound frontage road using exit 543. So again, that should be wrapping up around spring 2022. It's already this year. I keep on saying it like it's next year. It's actually just a few months away. But let's go ahead and take one last look around town. Pretty quiet so far, but you got to check those tires before you head out the door because my tire pressure was low. And so I had to put in a few extra pumps of air in there. So
gotcha. Good reminder.
Yeah.
And with the batteries, I'm with you, or I was with you, but now we have a little girl and we need batteries for all her toys and electronics, everything. So
that's a good point.
We have it in stock. Yeah.
And they're not always AA batteries either.
No, a lot of them are AAA. It drives me nuts.
The little coin looking thingies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are harder to take out. Yeah.
Very hard to read what the number is on it.
Yes.
And then the numbers, well, you're sitting there going, what does this work? Which one?
Yes.
Anyway, here's a great picture. This was taken a couple of days ago before a little butterfly probably had frost on his wings, but it was absolutely beautiful. Thank you. The queen butterfly is out in full force. Gorgeous out there. It's going to be a fantastic sunrise again this morning. We're going to have just some beautiful orange and blue skies out there. Freeze warning remains in effect up until 10 o'clock this morning. Of course, this was issued yesterday, and yeah, we did hit freezing yesterday, obviously, and the way it goes if freeze warnings aren't issued once a county has hit widespread freezing. But since this was issued yesterday, this kind of left it in place. That's why Bexar County is still under the freeze warning. We're at 27 as of right now, 18 Comfort, 28 Castroville. Everybody is really darn cold. Now, a couple of spots, Rock Springs just went above freezing, Del Rio and Laredo, but everybody else all around South Texas is very, very cold. Ozona is down to 16 as of right now. And then, of course, there's a little bit of a breeze in places. It's not anywhere near as windy as yesterday, but basically we have all three of the good ingredients in place. Clear skies, dry air, and very light wind, and that's why temperatures continue to drop down even colder, and will continue to drop down a few more degrees compared to yesterday. So this was the dry air that we had around here yesterday, maybe a little bit more moisture, but I mean, that's splitting hairs. It's still going to be a gorgeous day today. Plenty of blue skies around here. And overall, it is going to be staying on the cool side this week. We'll have our warmer days kind of thrown in here and there, but nothing like what we had last week. 46 degrees today at noon, sunny skies, and then we'll top off today at 55, so still about 10 degrees below normal. We hit freezing again tomorrow. Won't be quite as cold, and then we get up to 64 degrees. About a normal low on Wednesday, get all the way up to 70. Another front's going to come through here. This one won't have quite the punch as the last front. We'll still get down to freezing by Friday morning, and then up to 55 in the afternoon. But it's going to be very short-lived, back to the 70s by Saturday and Sunday, and low temperatures in the upper 40s. And of course, the 12th day of Christmas is on Thursday, the Epiphany, Three Kings Day.
That's right. It's usually a tradition to take down the decorations after that day.
Yes.
But maybe we'll wait till the weekend.
Oops.
Usually.
Started a new tradition. They're all down.
Every household's different. That's okay.
14th day of Christmas, my decorations were still up. So.
That neighbor. 5:23 and 28 degrees.
And still ahead in your morning spotlight, we're going to tell you when you can see a special Betty White documentary that's about to be in theaters.
And welcome back, 26 minutes after 5 o'clock, and you're soon going to be able to see the late Betty White in theaters one last time.
CNN's David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
Hello, I'm Betty White.
The show will go on. Betty White died on New Year's Eve, but producers are going ahead with Betty White, A Celebration. The documentary on the remarkable performer's life and career will still play in theaters one night only, Monday, January 17th, White's 100th birthday. Check fathomevents.com for locations.
We have unfinished business.
Black Widow was a box office hit, but its director, Kate Shortland, was part of a shrinking minority. The Center for the Study of Women in Television and Film at San Diego State University says Shortland and Eternals director Chloe Zhao were two of just 12 female directors among the year's top 100 films at the domestic box office. That's down from 16 in 2020. The report shows women continue to be underrepresented in key film industry jobs.
Hello, dearies.
Mrs. Doubtfire is hoping to wait out the Omicron variant. The Broadway show has announced a 9-week hiatus through March 14th in hopes the latest surge in COVID-19 cases will have ebbed by then. Producers said in a statement, "We are doing everything in our power to keep the virus from prematurely ending our run on Broadway." In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
528, 28 degrees.
And still ahead on GMSA, we're going to check out what pediatricians and school officials are saying when it comes to sending kids back to school as COVID cases rise.
Plus, a major winter storm is expected to cause problems today as it moves towards the East Coast. Making headlines this morning, school officials and doctors weigh in on kids going back to school as COVID cases continue to spike across the country.
And taking a look outside with live cam today, much different than it was last week. Now we have the cold temperatures again. We're starting at about 28 degrees.
Yeah, that's the difference. It's just flat out cold. You need a coat, and you need long sleeves, and you need long pants. You can't be wearing shorts and flip-flops today.
It feels like January, so that is appropriate.
That's what it's supposed to feel like, isn't it, Mike?
Well, and then some. I mean, average is low 40s, so we're way below that. And bundle up because not only can warm up the car, hats, gloves, scarves, the whole 9 yards. All right, we've got temperature right now, 27 degrees, dew points at 19. So in theory, and I think we are going to continue to drop down. We've got clear skies, we've got dry air, a little bit of a breeze out there, though. It keeps these airs somewhat stirred up, but we will, like I said, continue to drop down a couple of more degrees. And 18 right now at Comfort. Then with that little bit of a breeze, it's not as windy as what it was yesterday, but we still have somewhat of a wind chill in places. Feels like 18 at Castroville, Randolph, 16 Hondo, and 20 out there at the airport as well as in Bulverde. Freeze warnings remains in effect up until 10 o'clock this morning. And Mountain Cedar did go up yesterday compared to the previous day, but it didn't go up by leaps and bounds. So I don't know if it really took into account all of the wind that we had yesterday. So it's going to be interesting to see what that number does when the updated count comes out later on this morning, which is going to be about 7:30 or so. Mold is on the high side. 46 at noon, 55 for high temperatures. So we will be a little bit warmer than yesterday. Still well below normal. Warming trend then going into tomorrow and, well, tomorrow afternoon, we hit freezing again in the morning, and then another front comes on through here. How cold will that one get? Plus a look ahead to the weekend coming up in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos. All right, roads are going to be a lot more crowded than the past couple of weeks. Any problems yet?
Not yet. Quiet is a trend right now, Mike. Let's take a look right now around town and see how this morning is shaping up as we begin a new week. You can see a few people getting their morning started early with us. There's 37 at Military, 1604 at Petrenko, although looking a little bit busier there off 1604 at Babcock. We're not seeing a whole lot of issues out there this morning, so it's a great way to start the day. If you have to head out the door, maybe start your day early, grab that cup of coffee. That's probably where you'll only encounter those big delays, those coffee lines. But as we take a look at the map, you can see we're still off to a pretty green start. 410, 1604 I-10. The roads are open, but that doesn't mean just jet out there. Just take it easy as you get this new day started. But if your destinations take you through San Antonio, we got those inbound times for you. If you are coming in from Seguin, still pretty green with I-10, 28 minutes in those westbound lanes. Coming in from 87 on those northbound lanes from Livonia, 22 minutes at this hour. And if your travels are coming in from Floresville on 37 northbound, 28 minutes. So no delays just yet, but we can expect some busier roadways. Actually, we need to pop it back up there. We're having a Monday here in the system, but we'll get more traffic coming up in the next few minutes. David, Stephanie?
Thank you, Stephen.
All right, now I want to get you some late-breaking news. San Antonio police are searching a north side neighborhood looking for two gunmen who stormed into a home and then shot two people.
This is happening in the area not far from Interstate 10 and West Avenue on a street called Clower. Katrina Weber is there with a live report. And Katrina, was this a home invasion?
Well, it was not in the sense that you would imagine. There were no doors that were broken down, but police say that two gunmen did bang on the door of this home that you see behind me. This is the 2100 block of Clower Street, and this is where it happened. The police are looking in and around this house for clues and also for the two people, the two gunmen who were involved. Now, one of the men who lives in this house was able to tell police a little bit about what happened, but they say he was very upset. He told them that two gunmen came and banged on the door asking for someone inside that house by name. Now, that man says that he was zip-tied, thrown outside the house, and then the gunman went inside and ended up shooting two other men who were inside the house. Now, the man who was zip-tied was able to make his way over to a neighbor where he called for help a little bit before 5 o'clock this morning. Those two victims who were shot were taken in ambulances to the hospital. Police say they had non-life-threatening wounds. One person was shot in his back, the other in his shoulder, and police have been here ever since. They are still looking for those gunmen or any possible clues to lead them to them. The only description that the zip-tied man was able to tell police was that those gunmen did escape in a silver Jeep, and so that's a very vague description, but police have had their helicopter up. They've been searching this area, just trying to track down that vehicle or any possible clues connected to this double shooting. Reporting live on the northwest side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Katrina. A woman shot while driving on I-35, the city's northeast side last night.
Sarah Costa joins us in the studio. And Sarah, where on 35 did the shooting happen, and is she okay?
Good morning, David. Good morning, Stephanie. The woman told police she was driving on I-35 between Rittiman and Eisenhower when she was shot. But the good news is she's going to be okay. Police on scene say they were working a wreck on Loop 410 in Starcrest when a 45-year-old female pulled up on officers working that scene and told them she had been shot in the leg. The woman told officers that she was driving on 35 just before 11:45 last night when a brown vehicle pulled up next to her and someone opened fire. She told police her vehicle was hit several times and she was hit in the leg by one of those bullets. Police say the woman then drove about 6 miles until pulling over when she saw those officers on Loop 410 and Starcrest. The woman was taken to BAMC in stable condition. At this time, police continue to search for a suspect in this shooting and a motive. David, Stephanie.
Thank you, Sarah. You know, a lot of kids headed back to school this week as COVID-19 cases continue to climb.
And has a lot of parents wondering what's best for their families. CNN's Britt Conway has the latest from health experts and school officials.
Omicron is so much more contagious than the previous variants have been.
And it's hitting kids harder than the previous variants. Child COVID-19 hospital admissions have hit an all-time high.
I think a lot of the safeguards that people had in place before had been lost. So many kids getting infected, and when the sheer numbers go up, that percent unfortunately starts to get more of our kids put into the hospital.
Health experts expect it will only get worse. So what does that mean for sending kids back to school? Depends on who you ask.
We can keep our students safe and we can keep them in person together learning.
We really want our kids in school. So if we're talking about a 1 to 2 week delay to try to get past the peak of this, I think that's reasonable.
Trying to open schools at this point, it's hard to imagine how things will go well, especially if you start seeing absences of school teachers, bus drivers, cafeteria staff. That's all going to feed into this.
How the return to school is being handled depends on the district and sometimes the school, but the advice is the same.
Talk to your officials at the schools. Be sure that everyone there is wearing masks if possible. Talk to them about keeping the doors and the windows open.
We know that wearing masks works. We know that distancing when possible works. We know that hand washing and ventilation, all of those things work.
If your kids are 5 and up, vaccinate them.
You don't want to be the parent whose child doesn't do very well and ends up in the hospital.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
It has been another frustrating holiday weekend for air travelers with more than 2,600 flights canceled nationwide on Sunday. According to FlySanAntonio.com, that includes at least 20 cancellations at San Antonio International. Many airlines have been affected by New Year's Day snowstorm and staff shortages due to the COVID surge. The regional carrier SkyWest Airlines reported the highest number of cancellations among the full-service carriers. According to FlightWare, JetBlue reported the most disruptions by canceling 169 flights, or 16% of its total.
And that winter storm is rolling into the District of Columbia, Northern Virginia, and Central Maryland, and today bringing at least 3 to 7 inches of snow through this afternoon. Wind gusts of up to 35 miles per hour were in the forecast. Snow began falling overnight in parts of Alabama, Tennessee, and Kentucky. In Washington, the U.S. Office of Personnel Management announced that federal offices will be closed today.
Hey, at least we're not shoveling snow. 540, 28 degrees.
And still ahead, a look at how the Texas Biomedical Research Institute has become an integral part of the study of COVID-19 vaccines.
Outside with live cam, it's clear and it's crisp, or as we like to say here in South Texas, when it's 28, it's cold.
Cold. I agree.
It's cold. Mike's got your forecast coming up. So you may have heard about how the Texas Biomedical Research Institute was involved in the study of COVID-19 vaccines.
Our KSAT Explains team produced an episode of the show focused on that. Myra Arthur explains that, plus how COVID changed everything.
Texas Biomedical Research Institute has had a hand in working on the first Ebola treatment and the first treatment for hepatitis C.
We have the ability to handle research and development related to any infectious diseases because we have tremendous history and experience related to what is called biocontainment research.
Biocontainment research is done in biosafety labs, labs that are designed to allow scientists to study contagious viruses without releasing those viruses. These labs are ranked biosafety level 1 through 4. BSL-1 is for pathogens that don't really pose a threat. BSL-2 is for human diseases that pose a moderate hazard, like hepatitis viruses. BSL-3 labs are used when dealing with pathogens that may cause serious or potentially lethal disease through inhalation.
And then biocontainment level 4 is the highest level containment, where we work on infectious agents safely on those agents like Ebola virus that have no current cures.
This video shows one of the Institute's researchers preparing to do work at a BSL-4 lab. She's putting on this air-supplied positive pressure suit to take a look at data related to a study on the Ebola virus. There are safety precautions that researchers must take when entering and exiting. The lab has its own ventilation system and airtight doors, and the data stored there cannot be removed. Texas Biomed also has thousands of animals on its campus, more than 2,500 non-human primates and about 5,000 rodents. Those animals played a critical role in the study of the COVID-19 virus and vaccine.
Human trials are really good, but before the human trials, you have to make sure something's safe and effective in animals. So that we know it's going to be safe when we put it into humans.
The data collected from the animal studies was used to help prove that the mRNA vaccines were safe enough to be used in human clinical trials.
The mRNA vaccines have been in development for a long time and for other infections. So they're not new to science. I think they're new to the public.
Researchers here say the effectiveness of those vaccines and the collaboration that led to their development could be a game changer for the treatment of other outbreaks and diseases.
I think the future will be a very different type of vision from my perspective, where organizations like Texas Biomed can participate in a much more proactive, sustainable way to help avert these pandemics, which will occur again in the future.
To check out this or any episode of KSAT Explains on demand, go to ksat.com/explains or scan the QR code you see on your screen. Look for brand new episodes after the new year.
Pretty impressive, San Antonio, kind of on the leading edge of discoveries in that field, isn't it?
Yes, very impressive.
Like that. 546, 28 degrees.
And stay with us because we're going to get a check of the roadways and your forecast for the week coming up next. Welcome back. It's 5:49. At last check, things were still moving on the roadways.
Look pretty good, Steve.
Yeah, I got to give some context here. I started the morning off a little rough. My alarms went off late. I had low air pressure in my tire, and I dropped my keys somewhere. Thankfully, I found it. But I found some peace out on the roadways because it is very quiet this morning. So it was nice coming into work. It made me feel a lot better. Let's take a quick look because you can expect the same thing if you're going to be heading out in the next few minutes. Some peaceful roadways right now. Still very quiet, but we are anticipating more folks are going to be getting their morning started early because maybe a lot are going to be heading back to work. But take a look around town really quick. You can see at I-10 and Pro-Band, traffic is moving, but not a whole lot of folks out there this early. So you're going to have the roads to yourself, but be on the lookout because some of those issues are starting to present themselves. Now, TxSAT has a situation listed here off I-10 eastbound at Loop 410 involving a vehicle. Not sure exactly what that is just yet, but we're going to continue to watch that, see how that may impact your early morning drive. Let's take a jump down over here because a stall also popping up off I-10 westbound at Frio Street. But as I mentioned, you're going to basically have the roadways to yourself. If you take a wider look at the map, we're not seeing any delays, but we know we're inching closer to 6 a.m. and after that, we're getting closer to that morning rush. So we'll continue to keep a close eye on the roads. But right now, things are moving pretty good, guys.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm with you on that. This morning, I dropped my phone.
Oh, no.
And my waffle, and I woke up my family.
That's the worst.
Sorry,
That's the worst.
Happy Monday.
Let's hope the boss doesn't call you all in her office this morning.
that would be the worst.
I know.
Anyway, beautiful picture from yesterday, and that's what it's going to look like today. Just lots of blue skies out there. Fantastic sunrise is going to be, the sun's not going to be coming up for about another hour and a half, though. We'll start to see that glow in just maybe a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And it's going to be fantastic out there. Of course, we do have a freeze warning in effect up until 10 o'clock this morning. And given the fact that most everybody already is hitting freezing, we won't be seeing any more freeze warnings. It's kind of a one and done usually as far as the freeze warnings in a season. So once a county has hit a widespread freeze, those aren't issued anymore. We're in the 20s primarily, and a lot of areas don't have much wind to deal with. So we've got clear skies, dry air, light wind, perfect radiational cooling. That allows the heaviest, coldest air to sink down here to the surface. As somebody once explained it to me, it's like a glass of chocolate milk. You keep it all stirred up, all the chocolate's in the milk, and once it's kind of settles, once it's not stirred up, all the chocolate settles down there to the bottom of the glass. And that's the way cold air acts because it's a lot more dense, a lot heavier. So that's why when you don't have the breeze out there, you get some of the coldest temperatures. Now, we do have enough of a breeze, even though it's only 6 miles per hour, to give us a wind chill right now of 20 miles per hour, 18 at Randolph, 16 there in Devine and Hondo. And satellite picture, nothing going on. May have a hint of a milky shade to the sky today, as I'd like to explain it. Speaking of milk again. But it's kind of splitting here. It's still going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous day today. Off to the east, there's a lot going on there. And of course, there's a lot of big hubs along the eastern seaboard and going up to the north. And so those may be affected. You can see some weather has been going through Atlanta, although that's clearing out. Charlotte may get some, and then heading in toward D.C. and New York. So there could be some potential delays with that. Temperatures around the country, once again, just about everybody, most of the country is below freezing as of right now. 2 below in International Falls, but nothing like yesterday, if you recall. It was 34 degrees, 36 degrees below zero at one point. That was the actual air temperature up there. So, yes, it's a balmy 2 below right now. 46 at noon today. Plenty of sunshine. We'll top off. Warmer than yesterday. Yesterday we hit 50. We get up to 55 today, but still almost 10 below normal, 8 to be exact. And tomorrow, we're going to hit freezing again here in town, just barely touching it, not as cold as this morning. Then we get up to 64 in the afternoon. Closer to normal to start off Wednesday, all the way up to 70. Another front's going to move through here. Yes, it will pull down cold air, not quite as potent as the one that moved through over the weekend, and we'll hit freezing by Friday morning, but then back up to 70 and a lot more clouds over the weekend. Unfortunately, we're not looking at any really great rain chances, if at all. Perhaps by next week, but nothing as far as rain.
Okay, well, we'll wait for that, but at least the weekend will be nice.
Yeah.
It's good you got a shout out to dairy cows in there. I know. They feel better today.
Yeah.
I wonder how the milking is in cold weather like this.
Cold. It's freezing.
Some cold milk coming.
You can have milksicles.
Lottery numbers on the way to break. Pick 3, 3, 1, 4, Fireball is 4, and your daily 4 is 6, 8, 5, 9, and your Fireball is 2.
Cash 5, 8, 11, 15, 18, 29. Lotto Texas 1, 16, 19, 39, 42, 46. And your Powerball numbers, we're looking at 6, 12, 39, 48, 50. Powerball 7, Power Play 2. Good luck.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, we are, of course, tracking the storm moving up the East Coast, but also that flight nightmare awaiting the more than 2.5 million people expected to travel today. That's after more than 5,000 flights were canceled over the weekend. Oh, so many people trying to get home, and airlines blaming the terrible weather and, of course, staff shortages because of the COVID surge. So we're going to get into both of those things because neither have improved today. You'll see that and so much more coming up right here on GMA.
And now that we are beginning a new year, a lot of people are trying to stay on top of their New Year's resolutions, and we've got some tips for staying on track for you. And San Antonio police are searching a northwest side neighborhood looking for 2 gunmen who stormed into a home and shot 2 people. Katrina Weber will join us live with the latest on that story. And we're taking a look outside with TransGuide. There's some emergency crew lights. Stephen Cavazos will be along in just a few minutes and let you know how the traffic is flowing all around town. Stay with us. You're watching Good Morning San Antonio. We'll be right back.
Trouble barges in on 3 people inside this northwest side home. Good morning, I'm Katrina Weber. 2 of those people went to the hospital with gunshot wounds, and police have an active search here. I'll tell you more about it.
I'm ABC's M. Wynn in Washington. Kids go back to school amid a post-holiday surge in COVID-19 cases. How fears over the Omicron variant and teacher sick calls are affecting reopening plans. Coming up.
And it's back. We're talking about the cold weather. We're at 27 degrees this morning. Very, very cold. Definitely grab that jacket. I don't even have to tell you that. You're going to open the door and run away very quickly.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
And good morning. It is Monday, January 3rd, and it actually feels like January.
It's appropriate. Thanks for joining us this morning. What a way to start a weekend. You know, for those of you who missed that cold weather last week, well, it's here. Has arrived.
Yeah, we're definitely making up for things between yesterday and today. With temperature yesterday got down to 27 degrees, and we're not done yet this morning. We've got a little bit of a wind chill to deal with. Not as blustery as yesterday, though. So that was getting you. I mean, that wind just cut right through coats and everything. So if little kids are hanging out waiting for a bus this morning, make sure you definitely bundle up. Temperature, well, we have fluctuated 1 degree in the past hour, gone up to 28 right now. 20 Bulverde, teens out there in portions of the hill country, and a little bit of a wind chill to deal with. Feels like 22 in town, 17 at Randolph, 11 right now is the wind chill in Kerrville. And of course, we have the freeze warning in effect up until 10 o'clock this morning. Mountain Cedar yesterday did go up from the previous day's reading. Remember on Saturday, it had really dropped down from the previous day. Then it went back up a little bit. Now it's going to be interesting to see what the updated count is, given the fact we had the windy conditions all day yesterday after that reading was taken. Of course, that update is going to be coming out in just a couple of minutes. Temperatures will still be dropping down a few more degrees in the next couple of hours. And then we are going to be warming up actually pretty quickly this morning, gaining about 25 or so degrees, getting up into the mid 40s by noon. Still going to stay chilly, still coat weather all day long. 55 for a high temperature, plenty of sunshine out there, maybe a high wispy cloud or 2. We're going to hit freezing again tomorrow, not quite as cold, just barely touching it. And then we get a little warmer, then another quick dose of freezing temperatures to round out the work week. Details on that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos. Any problems with the back to school traffic yet?
Well, I'll tell you this. We're starting the 6 o'clock hour with some flashing lights, and that's never a good sign. Let's take a closer look at I-10 at the Y. This is a shot from TransGuide. You can see some road flares also there along the exit ramp. Traffic right now moving through that area without any problems. But as you see those flashing lights out there, is obviously going to be something that they're going to want to be on the lookout for. Whenever you see situations like this, move over or slow down. Taking you right to the map. That's right now being listed as a stall off I-10 westbound at Frio Street. As you just saw from that TransGuide shot, traffic is able to move through there pretty freely. But again, watch out whenever you see situations like that. And this seems to be the trend right now. We're spotting these stalls. Let's take a jump up over here to 1604 westbound at Boulevardy Road. Another one detected there, but as you can see, based off our roadmap, we're not seeing any delays just yet. But it is 6 o'clock, and we know we're getting back to morning rush, so we could see traffic picking up here probably within the next 30 minutes or so. But right now, things are looking good. So perfect time to grab that cup of coffee and enjoy the drive to work, maybe. But if your travel's taking you through San Antonio, we have those inbound times for you right now. 37 from Pleasanton, still pretty pleasant right now with 29 minutes in those northbound lanes. And if you're coming in from Castroville on Highway 90 eastbound, we got 19 minutes. And our little time from Lytle right now, 35 northbound, 16 minutes. So looking good if you're traveling into San Antonio. But watch out for the situation. We'll give you all those updates throughout the morning. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen. 2 people are in the hospital and another shaken up after an encounter with 2 gunmen. San Antonio police say the victims were all inside a home on the northwest side when the gunmen showed up before 5 this morning.
Katrina Weber has a live report for us from the 2100 block of Clower Street. That's not far from I-10 and West Avenue. So, Katrina, you mentioned earlier that 2 men are in the hospital and they had been shot. Is there an update on their condition right now?
Well, police tell us that thankfully those wounds were not life-threatening. One man shot in the back, the other in the shoulder. Both of them, along with the third man, were inside this home behind me where you see police working when this all happened before 5 o'clock this morning. Now, police have roped off the outside of this home. They do plan to search inside the home, but for now they've been focusing on this neighborhood, trying to track down those 2 gunmen as well as any clues that they can about what happened. Now, they say that one of the people who was inside this home was tied up with zip ties and thrown outside. He says when those 2 gunmen showed up, they tied him up, threw him outside, and went inside asking for someone by name. They then shot the other 2 people who were inside the home. The police say the man who was zip tied was able to make his way to a neighbor, and then he called for help. In the meantime, the gunmen, after they shot those other 2 men, they took off in what police describe as just a silver Jeep. That's the only information they could get from that witness, that man who was zip tied. They say he was very shaken up and not able to offer them a whole lot of details about those gunmen in particular. But they nevertheless are still searching this area, trying to track down whatever clues they can about whoever did this. And meanwhile, those 2 people who were shot in the hospital, and again, police say non-life-threatening wounds. Reporting live on the northwest side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Katrina. We now have some new details when it comes to that deadly winter storm last February. Texas has added 36 more deaths to the official death toll.
Sarah Costa joins us in the studio with the details. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, David. And that total now stands at 246 in what is called one of the worst natural disasters in the state's history. The news is coming from a new report from the Department of State Health Services, an analysis by the department's Disaster Mortality Surveillance Unit. 36 more deaths were added. This is one of the worst natural disasters in Texas history. The deaths happened between February 11th, 2021 and June 4th. That's according to the Disaster Mortality Surveillance Unit, which collected the data. The number includes people who were injured in the storm but did not die until later, and also people whose bodies were found after the storm, including during repairs of damaged homes. The 246 deaths spanned 77 counties and included victims ranging from less than 1 year old to 102 years old, according to the report. Close to 2/3 of the deaths were due to hypothermia. Experts say it may be impossible to ever account for every death related to this storm, given its far-reaching impact. Despite some experts' doubts, Governor Greg Abbott has insisted that the grid is ready for this winter. David?
Thank you, Sarah. And speaking of cold weather, according to the U.S. Fire Administration, during the months of January and February, almost half of home fires are related to heating. And that's why the San Antonio Fire Department has some reminders on proper ways to keep your home warm and safe. They say keep all space heaters at least 3 feet from anything that's flammable. Plug only one heat-producing appliance like a space heater into an outlet at a time. Keep all portable generators outside 20 feet away from windows, your home and other buildings, and never use your oven to heat your home. COVID cases continue to soar higher this morning as students get ready to head back to class.
This comes as the CDC considers changing current guidance for what to do if you test positive for COVID and when to leave isolation.
ABC's M. Wynn is tracking the latest for us.
Good morning. Hospitalizations are on the rise across the country. In New York, nearly 9,000 people are in the hospital with COVID-19. It's the highest rate since this time last year, a signal that the pandemic is not letting up anytime soon.
This morning, school is back in session for most of the country.
I will likely keep our son home into the 5th just to have those extra days.
Already, some big school districts will start the new year with at least a few days of remote learning due to the Omicron variant, including Atlanta, Milwaukee, and Newark.
Superintendents today are getting phone calls learning that some of their schools may have 5 to 10% of their staff not available due to COVID-19.
Top health experts are reassuring parents that in-person learning is the best track for students right now.
I think it's safe for them to do so.
This comes as the U.S. is seeing an average of nearly 400,000 new daily COVID cases nationwide, with hospitalizations approaching 100,000. The CDC may revise current guidance again for asymptomatic COVID patients. The agency could recommend that a person get a negative COVID test before ending isolation.
That is something that is now under consideration.
The CDC had shortened the isolation period from 10 days to 5 and was not requiring a negative test.
Here in Washington, a high-profile case of COVID-19. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced he tested positive Sunday with mild symptoms. He says his last meeting with President Biden was almost 2 weeks ago. M. Wynn, ABC News, Washington.
At least 30 inmates suffering from smoke inhalation after a fire broke out at a jail in downtown Baltimore. Crews there say the fire started on the 5th floor of a 7-story building and caused immense amount of smoke to spread due to poor ventilation. 28 people suffered non-life-threatening injuries and most were treated on the scene. Still no word on what sparked the fire.
A pair of 19-year-old hikers have been rescued after they were reported missing almost a week ago in Oregon. The two were found safe by a Coast Guard helicopter in a car near a mountain southeast of Eugene. Officials were able to locate the two because they wrote SOS in the snow and stayed near their car.
It is now 6:10 and 27 degrees.
And still ahead on GMSA, a heartbreaker for the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to have a recap from their matchup with the Cardinals.
And severe weather and the coronavirus causing a headache for airports around the country. We've got that story just ahead.
Taking a look outside with a live cam, just plain cold out there. It's 27 degrees this morning. We are starting off this week very cold. We'll be right back. And welcome back. It's about 6:15. It's a travel nightmare for millions of Americans. Up to 10 inches of snow could fall in parts of the mid-Atlantic region from Virginia to southern New Jersey this morning. The storm hitting just in time for the morning commute.
It is also hitting as airlines deal with COVID-related staffing shortages, meaning people stranded at airports over the weekend could have an even longer wait today.
ABC's Mona Kassar Abdi has the latest.
The storms creating a winter wonderland overnight in the deep south are intensifying before delivering the first major snowfall of the season for millions of people in the Northeast. The round of storms now moving up the coast, bringing a mixed bag of winter weather and tornado threats.
Roanoke to D.C., Baltimore, and Philly, 2 to 6 inches of snow. It'll start out wet. The ground is warm, but it'll pile up.
In Washington, D.C., federal offices are closed today. Some schools in Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey have already declared a snow day on the first day back from the holiday break. Travelers and airlines crippled by COVID-related staffing issues, now also dealing with the severe weather. Nearly 1,000 flights for today have already been canceled.
We had a huge snowstorm and oh my goodness, they canceled the flight because they were scared that we wouldn't be able to take off.
And now temperatures are plunging across the country. The cold spot this morning, -7 in Des Moines, Iowa. In New Mexico, the extreme cold is blamed for stranding 21 passengers on this tram. High above the mountains overlooking Albuquerque, an iced-over cable caused the cars to get stuck. The people inside waited 14 hours in the freezing cold to be rescued.
We got real close and a lot of hugging and just making sure everyone was okay.
Mona Kassar Abdi, ABC News, New York.
Let's get a quick look at our roads right now. We are seeing some flashing lights here at I-10 at the Y. Thankfully, traffic is still able to move through this spot pretty easily, but watch out because we're seeing some lane closures already. And keep in mind, a lot of folks, they're heading back to work today, so we can expect more people out on the roadways. Let's take you right to the map because that's all is detected there off I-10 westbound at Frio Street. You can see those westbound lanes. We're not seeing any orange or yellow building just yet, but you can bet we're going to watch that pretty closely. And something also to keep in mind, let's take a quick jump up over here to I-10 in Kendall County. Starting today, we're moving to the next phase of this extension project, that is I-10 eastbound. The frontage road there in Kendall County will be closed from Inger Springs to US 87, so watch out for that. Project is expected to be completed by spring of this year, so of course we'll give you all those updates there in I-10. Let's check in with Mike for the forecast.
Definitely cold. Bundle up before you head out front door this morning, and we are going to be dropping down a couple of more degrees. And then after school today, going to make it up to 55 with mostly sunny skies. And I'm surprised that these two little concrete statues right here aren't just hugging and trying to keep warm. A couple of icicles are hanging down on there, as you can see right now. And yeah, first icicles of the season. First time we hit freezing this season officially here in town was yesterday. Got down to 27 degrees. And on the hourly readings this morning, we dropped down to 27 up to this point. I think we may, when it's all said and done, be a little bit cooler than that. Going to have a beautiful, beautiful sunrise this morning. 19 right now, Kerrville. These are actual air temperatures. 18, Fredericksburg. Rock Springs is hovering right at freezing. And we actually went up one notch just in the past hour. 14 out there in Ozona, and everybody with just a couple, well, only Houston right now. Rock Springs and Del Rio and Laredo were hovering just above freezing last hour, but now everybody in the entire southern portion of the state is below freezing. And then, of course, there are a couple of wind chills out there. Feels like 11 right now in Kerrville. We had beautiful blue skies yesterday thanks to the very dry air upstairs in the atmosphere and maybe a little bit extra moisture coming in here upstairs. So perhaps a slight milky shade to the sky, but that's going to be sort of split in here. It's still going to be an absolutely gorgeous day. Again, 1 or 2 high clouds out there. Most of the country remains below freezing right now, and some pretty nasty wind chills on top of that. Caribou, Maine, 16 below, although it has warmed up significantly up there. If you want to call it that, it's only 2 below in International Falls. Yesterday, it was 36 degrees below zero, the actual air temperature. Here's what's going on. Of course, we had that big trough right there. That's pulled that front through over the weekend, and we had those upper level wind lines that were coming straight down out of Canada, which pulled in this massive cold air around here. Now things are going to sort of modify just a little bit. Now we're still going to be down right around freezing tomorrow. Then things will get slightly milder toward the middle part of the week. And once we get into Thursday, though, notice this little bit of a northwesterly flow. There's another front that's going to move through here. Not quite as potent as the last one, still going to knock us down to freezing by Friday morning, and it's not going to last very long because we're going to start to get back into more of that southwesterly flow aloft in the atmosphere. That means more moisture upstairs, more clouds around here. We keep a lot of clouds around over the weekend, some milder temperatures, and that may now be the case going into a good chunk of next week too. 46 degrees today at noon, plenty of sunshine out there, then a high temperature up to 55, mostly sunny skies. And next couple of days, we'll hit freezing tomorrow morning, then not quite on Wednesday, Thursday, a little bit milder there. Another front comes on through. We will touch freezing again Friday morning, and then much milder over the weekend. And a lot of sunshine up through Thursday, and then clouds come back in here for the weekend.
Not too bad. Really cold in the mornings, though.
Yeah. It's still going to be it's still going to be jacket weather all week long.
Very good.
Saturday, Sunday look pretty good, though.
Good weekend to take down decorations.
Hint, 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 hint.
Wow. 6:20 and 27 degrees.
And still ahead on GMSA, Texas football fans waking up disappointed this morning. We're going to have a recap from the Cowboys and the Texans road matchup.
I'm living with CLL, and thanks to Imbruvica,
I'm living longer.
Imbruvica is a prescription medicine for adults with CLL or chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Imbruvica is not chemotherapy. It's the #1 prescribed oral therapy for CLL, proven to help people live longer. Imbruvica can cause serious side effects which may lead to death. Bleeding problems are common and may increase with blood thinners. Serious infections with symptoms like fevers, chills, weakness, or confusion, and severe decrease in blood counts can happen. Heart rhythm problems and heart failure may occur, especially in people with increased risk of heart disease, infection, or past heart rhythm problems. New or worsening high blood pressure, new cancers, and tumor lysis that can result in kidney failure, irregular heartbeat, and seizure can occur. Diarrhea commonly occurs. Drink plenty of fluids. Tell your doctor if you experience signs of bleeding, infection, heart problems, persistent diarrhea, or any other side effects.
I'm living longer with Imbruvica.
Ask your doctor if it's right for you. Learn how we could help you save on Imbruvica.
Pro football coverage powered by Davis Law Firm.
The Cowboys hosting into the Arizona Cardinals yesterday. Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray now 9-0 at AT&T Stadium. They're going all the way back to the 3 championships he won at Allen High School on that field. Arizona up 3-0 in the second, 4th and goal. Murray bootleg pass, Steel Knight alum Antoine Wesley, also a Texas Tech alum. He's got it. It's a 10-point lead. Cowboys finally find the end zone just before the half. Dak Prescott to Michael Gallup. Great catch, but he's done for the season. Jerry Jones said he tore his ACL on that play right there. It's 13-7 Arizona at the break. Later in the game, after a 2-point conversion, the Cowboys are only down a field goal. The final from Arlington, Arizona 25, Dallas 22, though. Cowboys move to 11-5 on the season, and they drop as far as the seedings. They were the number 2 seed in the NFC. Not anymore. Next up for the Cowboys, they'll conclude the regular season on the road in Philly. Dallas will take the field against the Eagles Saturday at 7:15. Meanwhile, the Houston Texans were on the road looking for their first 3-game win streak of the season as they took on the San Francisco 49ers. No score, second quarter. Texans on the Niners' 8-yard line. Davis Mills, that's the future of the Texans right there, goes over the middle. Brandon Cooks, touchdown. Texans led 7-3 at the half, but here come the Niners. Quarterback Trey Lance rolls out to find running back Elijah Mitchell. He goes into the end zone. Fourth quarter, Lance rolling out again, this time going deep to Deebo Samuel for the 45-yard score. There's the catch, there's the broken tackle, and there's the touchdown. Niners keep their playoff hopes alive. The final from Levi Stadium, 49ers 23, Texans 7. Houston falls to 4-12 on the season. They probably will be happy to finish the regular season and get this thing over with. Next up, a matchup with the AFC South champion Tennessee Titans. The Titans can clinch the number 1 seed at the AFC if they can win this game. Kickoff set for noon on Sunday.
A lot of people will be watching.
Yeah.
Time now, 6:25 and 27 degrees out there.
And still ahead on GMSA, people in one East Texas town say it wasn't raining cats and dogs, but actual fish. We'll explain what experts are calling animal rain.
And the search is on for the gunman who stormed into a Northwest Side home and shot 2 people. Katrina Weber is staying on top of the story and will join us live with the very latest.
San Antonio police say 2 uninvited guests showed up this morning. They did not have visiting in mind. Police say they shot 2 people inside this Northwest Side home. I'll tell you more about it.
Take a live look outside with Live Cam. Grab that coat, your mittens, your beanies, your hoods, whatever you got to stay warm, especially for the kids, because they're going to be standing at the school bus stop going, Mom, it's cold out here. I want to come back in.
No. I know. Maybe you can hold on in the car before you drop them off. It's so cold out there.
It's going to be chilly.
Hey, good morning. It is Monday, January 3rd, and for those of you who are hoping for the cold weather, it got here, and it's very, very, very strong.
Old man winter kind of blew in yesterday, literally.
Temperatures dropped between the high on Saturday and the low yesterday. It was about 50 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good drop.
And we only made it up to 50 yesterday for a high temperature, and then almost cut that in half this morning. And it's, yeah, like you're talking about, definitely cold out there. Look at the nice little orange glow, the early indications of a beautiful sunrise this morning. Temperature right now is at 28, dew points at 18, so we got very dry air. A little bit of a breeze, and it's just enough to keep the air kind of stirred up a little bit. We actually went up 1 degree in the past hour out there at the airport. 20 right now in Bulverde, 18 Kerrville, 19 in Comfort, and then factor in the wind. Again, there's not much of it. It's not anywhere near as windy as yesterday, but it feels like 11 in Kerrville and 22 out there at the airport. 17 is the wind chill right now at Randolph. So yes, layers and layers and layers, and you're going to want to keep a coat handy today because it will warm up nicely, but only mid-50s. Freeze warning remains in effect until 10 o'clock, and we do have very high mountain cedar. It's going to be interesting to see what the updated count is today, given the fact that this reading was taken before all the really strong winds throughout the day yesterday. So we may be seeing some really high mountain cedar readings. Mostly sunny, chilly today, and then tomorrow we are going to hit freezing again, just barely touching it in the morning, and then we'll start to get milder, plenty of sunshine midweek. Another front's going to move through here then on Thursday. And so it'll be a bit cooler in the afternoon on Thursday. We hit freezing again very quickly Friday morning, just graze freezing. And then we get into the weekend. That latest or next batch of cold air is not going to last all that long because it is going to be warmer and more clouds as we get into the weekend. Details just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavasso. So we're getting toward I should say the heat of the morning commute.
Yeah.
I don't know if that applies
Pun
today,
intended, right? Traffic right now is still looking pretty cool, though, Mike. As we can see, 1604 at Petranco. It's pretty quiet this morning, but we know, and we've been anticipating this throughout the morning, it's going to get busier. Check out I-10 at the Y. We have that situation with the stall working there, but let's get a look around town really quick. I-10 at Frio. Traffic is definitely moving there. Very different from what we had been seeing last week with a lot of folks out on break, a lot of people getting back out on the roadways. So here's what you can expect at this hour. Let's take you right to the map because we have stalls that are popping up around the city. Loop 410 eastbound at Southton Road. A stall detected there. As you saw on TransGuide, we have another stall right over here off I-10 westbound at Frio Street. A jump up over here to 1604 westbound at Boulevardy Road. Another stall. So again, that seems to be the problem of the morning. Let's take a wider look at the map. Still pretty quiet though. As you can see, lots of green on the screen. Not too bad, but taking you to those inbound times. If your travels take you to the San Antonio area, no delays just yet, but we're going to continue to watch these roads closely. Again, morning rush is almost upon us, so we can expect a busier commute. Make sure to be safe out on the roadways, guys.
Thank you, Stephen. San Antonio police say a double shooting on the northwest side was no random crime. They believe the victims were targeted.
Katrina Weber is live outside the home where it all happened. She's been there for about an hour and a half now. It's in the 200 block of Clower Street, and that's not far from I-10 and West Avenue. So, Katrina, any idea why police are convinced that the victims were intentionally targeted?
You know, they told me that these two gunmen showed up banging on the door and asking for one of those people by name. They ended up shooting two people here a little bit earlier this morning. Now, again, this is the 2100 block of Clower Street near I-10 and West Avenue. Let me give you a look at the video. Police have wrapped up their investigation here at the scene, but they were here in numbers earlier this morning. They got that call a little bit after 4:30 this morning. They got here and they found one man who had been zip-tied. He told police that those two gunmen showed up, banged on the door, and called for one of the people in the house by name. He was zip-tied and tossed outside, he says. He then heard gunshots from inside, and that police say that they did find those two shooting victims inside. The man who was zip-tied was able to make his way to the house of a neighbor, and he called for help. Police got here, but the gunmen were gone. Those two men who were shot were taken to the hospital with what police say were not life-threatening injuries. One shot in the shoulder, the other in the back. And again, that search does continue for whoever shot those people. Those two men were last seen taking off in a silver-colored Jeep, according to police, but they just don't have a whole lot of information, a lot of description of those two gunmen. Reporting live on the northwest side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Katrina. New this morning, a man is fighting for his life after a shooting on the west side. This is happening around 12:30 this morning at Ingram Road and Northwestern, just outside Loop 410. San Antonio police say they arrived on the scene for a vehicle crash when they found a man in his 30s with a gunshot wound. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition.
Also new this morning, San Antonio police are trying to piece together an overnight shooting that happened on the northeast side. Officers say the 45-year-old woman pulled up next to him in her vehicle on Loop 410 near Starcrest. She told him someone in a brown vehicle opened fire at her vehicle, hitting her several times in the leg. That woman was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay. Officers are still looking for that suspect. And it is a story we've been talking about around the country since the start of the holidays. Flights being canceled or delayed due to the COVID-19 surge and inclement weather.
And we are seeing those effects at the San Antonio International Airport. Sarah Costa joins us live in the studio with the very latest. Good morning again.
Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, David. It kind of feels like Groundhog's Day when it comes to these flight cancellations, and the total of canceled flights here locally at last check this morning is 20 flights, 16 of them departure flights and 4 of them arriving flights. The majority of those canceled flights at the San Antonio International Airport for this morning are flights with Southwest Airlines. Now, we don't know specifically what is causing the flight cancellations here locally. However, we do know the pattern of canceled flights across the country has been attributed to employees with the airlines calling out sick because of the COVID-19 surge. On top of that Omicron surge, up to 10 inches of snow could fall in parts of the mid-Atlantic region from Virginia to southern New Jersey this morning. The storm is hitting just in time for the morning commute. According to FlightAware, more than 2,600 U.S. flights and more than 4,400 across the globe were grounded on Sunday. And at this time across the country, nearly 1,000 flights this morning have already been canceled. If you are flying today, just make sure to double check the status with your flight with your airline or at the San Antonio International Airport webpage, which is flysanantonio.com. David.
Thank you, Sarah. This morning, the Amber Alert for 3-year-old Lena Keel continues. Today marks 2 weeks since she was last seen, but the community is not giving up on finding her. Nearly 200 people combed through a large grassy area yesterday as they searched for Lena, including more than 100 people from the local Afghan community. And the search efforts were both on the ground and in the sky with the help of the Eagles Flight Advocacy and Outreach.
I hope she's found, that we don't need any more searches. I hope she comes home. We just go day by day just hoping that she's going to be found. I was hoping that we wouldn't have to do this search because they would have already found her.
Lena has been missing from an apartment complex off of Fredericksburg Road. There is reward money for up to $150,000 to any information that leads to her discovery. If you have that information, you're asked to call SAPD Missing Persons Unit at 210-207-7660.
Now a look at the coronavirus here at home. Starting today, Metro Health will be back to reporting COVID-19 cases in Bexar County. Recent data has been provided by the Department of State Health Services. The latest information shows that Bexar County had 733 new cases. 350 people were hospitalized, with 74 in the ICU and 30 on ventilators. And the holidays are over and kids all over the country will be headed back to school this week. But the Omicron variant seems to be hitting kids harder than previous variants.
Child COVID-19 hospital admissions have reached an all-time high, and health experts say it'll get worse. So what does that mean for sending kids back to school? That depends on the district and sometimes the school, but still the advice remains the same, and it's been for most of the pandemic.
We know that wearing masks works. We know that distancing when possible works. We know that hand washing and ventilation, all of those things work.
If your kids are 5 and up, vaccinate them.
You don't want to be the parent whose child doesn't do very well and ends up in the hospital.
The U.S. Secretary of Education says the Biden administration's goal is to keep schools open for in-person learning full-time.
An argument between 2 teenagers turns deadly inside a Georgia Walmart. It happened yesterday in Monroe County, which is southeast of Atlanta. Officers say 2 17-year-olds started fighting in the produce aisle when one of them pulled out a gun, shooting and killing the other. The teen who was shot died at the scene. The one who shot him was arrested.
And a bizarre scene in the NFL yesterday. Tampa Bay's Buccaneer wide receiver Antonio Brown appears to have just retired in the middle of the game. After becoming emotional on the sideline during the game against the Jets, Brown took off his jersey and his pads. He threw his jersey up in the stands. And this is all happening at MetLife Stadium. After the game, head coach Bruce Arians said Brown was no longer a Buck. The veteran player did not fly back to Tampa with the team. Brown had already been in trouble with the NFL for violating league protocols with a fake vaccination card. And it was an emotional Cowboys Sunday, not just because the Cowboys lost, though.
Cancer patient Brandy Weaver is a big-time fan who thought she was just at a Cowboys watch party last night at Dave & Buster's. Take a look.
What's up, Brandy? It's Dak Prescott, quarterback.
Brandy's good friend surprised her with a personalized video from quarterback Dak Prescott. Brandy's cancer is stage 4 and has spread throughout her body. She said the message from Prescott made her new year.
I believe his mom has breast cancer, and I do too, so I connect on that level with him, and I think he's just...
Throughout her years battling breast cancer, Brandy has set goals for herself. Her last goal was to make it to 40. She did that. Now her new goal, take her kids Whitney and William to Disney World in March.
She was also presented $1,500 that will cover her deductible for the year. It was presented by Aaron Erkeline, Executive Director of ThriveWell, a local nonprofit that supports cancer fighters like Brandy. And trending now on our website, a bizarre story that may have you scratching your head. So get this, it was actually raining fish in one East Texas town. You heard that right. Some people in Texarkana say small fish were raining down on them. The phenomenon is called animal rain. So according to National Geographic, it happens when small animals get swept up in water sprouts or updrafts and then fall back to earth with raindrops. Bats, fish, snakes, birds, frogs, and jellyfish have all been reported to have rained down on earth. You can check out the pictures on our website again at KSAT.com.
That's weird.
It's freaky.
It is, especially when you talk about bats and snakes.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
642, 28 degrees.
And still ahead on GMSA, pro tips for keeping your New Year's resolutions.
You know, making New Year's resolutions is an easy enough task. The problem is keeping them. That's a different story.
Very different. In fact, new studies show about 30% of people give up on their goals by mid-January. So how do you make resolutions that you can keep? First, you have to be very specific with your goals. Instead of saying, I'm going to get healthy, try saying, I'm going to eat 5 servings of veggies a day.
You also don't have to start working on your resolutions on January 1st. Some research even shows you might actually be more successful if you just begin when you're ready, not on an actual date.
And last, set realistic goals and go easy on yourself. Don't get discouraged if you experience a setback. Just keep working and reward yourself when you see some progress. Something to look forward to can give you motivation you need to keep your resolutions for good.
Trying to quit chocolate, so what do? You reward yourself with the chocolate. I'm going to have a Snickers bar today.
Who gives that up for New Year's?
I don't know.
Not for a resolution. Not me. No way.
No, don't even do them anymore. Not worth it. What's the traffic like? Well, you know, maybe you should drive better. How about that for resolution?
We talked about this on Friday. I think my resolution was to be free of worries or to not worry as much.
That's a good one.
I thought that was a good one.
How's that working out?
It's going well because I wasn't too worried on the roadways, and our drivers shouldn't be too worried about any of the traffic right now. So some good news there. Let's take a look, though. It is getting busier. I-10 at Pro Bend, you can see traffic is looking a lot different than what we've been seeing previously because a lot more folks out on the road getting back to their normal routine. But be on the lookout because we've been spotting a lot of stalls. Loop 410 eastbound at South End Road. That one's still detected there. We are also seeing this stall off I-37 northbound at I-10. A little bit further up shows a third stall. I-10 westbound at Frio Street. This one we've been showing on those TransGuide cameras. There were lots of flashing lights out there, so be on the lookout. And a jump up over here, this stall still detected there, 1604 westbound at Boulevardy Road. That has seemed to be the trend of the morning. So before you get out on the road, make sure your vehicles are working A-OK. But right now, the roads looking worry-free, guys.
Didn't you say that your alarm didn't go off this morning, though?
But I wasn't worried about it because I know I was getting here, Mike. Wow. I knew I was going to get here.
That's a good way to look at things.
Yeah, you're not worried about the low pressure in your tire.
I wasn't worried because I had help. My next door neighbor actually was waking up and helping out with that. So
he's on a roll, and it's
yes.
Okay.
Let's fingers crossed it goes that way. I don't want to jinx it.
Okay.
You're doing
I'm not
great,
worried.
Stephen. Not worried. We're not worried either.
Are we worried about the cold weather?
Nah. As long as you got a big, heavy coat, and you need a big, heavy coat. Beautiful, beautiful sunrise this morning. I mean, it's just going to be spectacular. And take some sunglasses and mittens and mucklucks and scarves and everything like that. 28 in town, 20 Kerrville, 19 Fredericksburg, and Rock Springs right now is hovering right at freezing. As a matter of fact, everybody, well, with the exception of Houston, but everybody is at or below freezing as of right now. And then there's a little bit of a wind chill to deal with because there's just a hint of a breeze. And actually, that has, even though it's not much of a breeze out there, unlike yesterday when it was very, very windy, but there's just enough to keep the air kind of stirred up a little bit more. So that's why we weren't getting as cold I don't think anybody complained about that. As cold as what was originally forecast, getting down in the mid and even leaning towards some lower 20s around here, just because of that little bit of a breeze doesn't allow the heaviest, coldest air to settle down to the surface. Got very dry air upstairs in the atmosphere. Now, this is what we had yesterday in those just intense blue skies. Maybe a hint, maybe not as intense blue sky, but still. It's going to be a gorgeous day today. It is cold all around the country. 2 below at International Falls right now. And yes, that is just brutally cold, but that's a lot better than the 34 below, 34, 36 below that it was yesterday. And there is somewhat of a wind chill around most of the country as well. There's the trough that brought the front through here over the weekend. Remember, these upper level wind lines were coming straight down out of Canada, and that's why this was just a big mass of cold air moving on in here. Things are modifying a little bit. We'll still be right around freezing tomorrow, and then we start to get a little milder. Now, this northwesterly flow in the atmosphere is going to keep a lot of sunshine around here, and also another front's going to move through on Thursday. Not quite as strong as this last one. We'll still make it down close to freezing by Friday morning, and then things are going to be changing very quickly on the heels of that. We're going to get back into more of a kind of a southwesterly flow aloft, sort of like what we were in throughout, it seems like much of the month of December, when we get those little bits of cool air around here, but we had a lot of cloud cover. That's going to be the situation starting over the weekend and then going into next week with that overrunning situation with a lot of clouds around here and not brutally cold temperatures, but on the coolish side. 74, 46 degrees today at noon. I need to worry about reading. 55 today at noon, or excuse me, for a high temperature will be almost 10 degrees below normal. Down to freezing tomorrow morning, 64 for a high then. 42 to start off on Thursday. Excuse me, on Wednesday. We're still going to be jacket weather all week long, 70, and then on Thursday we have that front move through here, and again we drop down to freezing eventually by Friday morning. Not as cold as what it was yesterday and this morning. Still pretty chilly and a bit milder over the weekend.
You only said 74 because of last week. You were used to all the warmer temperatures that we had before.
Thank you for being a spokesperson on that one.
You are good. You're okay.
I wasn't worried, Mike. I knew what you were talking about.
Thank you.
Yeah. Time now, 6:51, and a cold 28 degrees. So we all depend on technology for work and fun, and 2022 will bring a new wave of gadgets tomorrow on GMSA. We're going to take a look at some of the hottest tech trends set to hit this year.
And San Antonio Spurs are still out on the road after dropping their 3rd straight game against the Pistons Saturday night. Tomorrow, they are in Toronto playing the Raptors. Game tips off at 6 o'clock. Then they go to Boston on Wednesday, and then they play the 76ers on Friday, and then they play the Brooklyn Nets on Sunday, and they're doing all this without Doug McDermott and Lonnie Walker IV. They're in the COVID protocol. However, they might get DeJounte Murray back maybe for tomorrow night. Hopefully at some point this week he'll come back out of that COVID protocol.
We are hoping for the best. Go Spurs go, and a reminder to David Sears that on Saturday they only lost by 1 point. 1 point, David.
Yes.
1 point. It's cold out there. We'll be right back.
Can't count moral victories, Stephanie. I keep trying to tell you that.
All right, looks like we have our first crash of the morning. Now that morning rush is getting back to its normal routine, we're starting to see these issues popping up. 281 Hildebrand, watch out for this crash because we're starting to see a buildup there in those northbound lanes of Hildebrand Avenue. Not looking good. Just use caution out there, Mike. They're probably going to want to use a sweater this morning as well.
Sweater, coat, everything, because it's cold out there. And we have temperature right now at back down to 27 degrees here in town, 19 comfort. Not much of a wind chill, so the wind has subsided. We'll probably drop down even further as long as we don't have any breeze out there. Freeze warning up until 10 o'clock this morning, and 55 for a high temperature today. Another quick freeze tomorrow morning.
Still cold all day. Be prepared for that. Thank you, Mike.
And thank you for watching this morning. We'll see you back here at 9.
Bye, guys.